I'd like you to meet my friend Steve DeBoer. You maybe have seen Steve running around Rochester. You probably noticed him because it was probably a really cold day and Steve wasn't wearing very much. Steve is in his 60s and he has the lean, shall we say, weathered body of a long-term runner. So you may have wished he was wearing more than shorts and shoes. Now, wait a minute, you might be saying right now. You said your speech was about a streaker, and wearing shorts doesn't count. But Steve isn't, he will wear clothes. He will wear a shirt above freezing, and when it gets really cold, well below zero, he'll actually put some clothes on. But Steve isn't that kind of streaker. He's a streaker because he has run a streak of running every day. He has run every day for 49 years. Let me say that again. He has run at least 1 mile every day for 49 years. He has the third longest running streak in the world. The number one streak is 52 years. The current number 2 is at 51 years. Steve has no intention of quitting, though, and he has his eye on the top spot. That minimum of 1 mile a day is the qualification of a streak, but Steve's actual mileage is much higher. He currently averages about 10 miles a day, and he has accumulated 170,000 lifetime miles. That's like running around the earth almost 7 times. In Steve's words, only 46,000 more miles to the moon. Now, although I've known Steve for over 30 years, I interviewed him for this speech. I also read articles about him in the USA Today and in Lifetime Running magazine. Today, I'll share 3 stories about Steve, 3 lessons learned from his running streak, and some encouragement for all of us mere mortals. As I mentioned earlier, Steve's daily mileage is much more than the 1 mile per day minimum. In fact, there's only been a handful of days where he has limited himself to that minimum. One of those times was when he stepped in a gopher hole during the race and broke his ankle. The doctor put him in a walking boot and said, "Weight bearing as tolerated." So Steve took off the boot, wrapped and taped his ankle, and jogged the required mile on each of the next 2 days, putting on the boot back when he was done running. I'm betting that that doctor gave more precise instructions after that. Another story that Steve shared was about his stint in the Peace Corps in Ecuador in 1978. He had to carry a whip to defend himself from the aggressive roaming dogs. He was bitten once and chased often, but he still ran every day. He refers to being chased as good anaerobic effort. The last story really shows how dedicated Steve is to his streak. Just a few months ago, he went to Seattle to visit the number 2 streaker and was admitted to the hospital with influenza B, pneumonia, and fluid in both lungs. On the first day in the hospital, he decided to keep his streak going, even though he felt really miserable. Without asking permission or telling anyone, he got out of bed and jogged around his hospital bed long enough to know that he had put in at least his minimum mile. On the second day, the doctor rounded while Steve was doing his mile run. He was surprised, and he allowed Steve to finish the mile before completing his exam. He was surprised that a person in Steve's condition would be able to run or want to, but said that it really wouldn't hurt him to do that. So for the duration of the 7-day hospital stay, Steve ran his short, repetitive course until his sickness also ran its course. "49 years of daily runs gives a person a lot of time to think. And I asked Steve about any lessons that he's learned from streaking. His first comment is that small things add up. And I asked Steve, and doing what you can do, you end up doing amazing things. Setting a goal of doing something every day for 50 years would probably be too intimidating until you just keep doing it every day and eventually realize that it's been 50 years since you started. For the youngsters in the group, please understand that 50 years goes by a lot faster than you think. The second lesson isn't directly from Steve, but can be inferred from his overall story. Positive habits leak over into other areas of our lives, providing grounding, mental wellness, and overall quality of life. Steve's streaking gives him the opportunity to keep meticulous notes and maintain a healthy diet. Positive habits build discipline that we can use in our work and our relationships. The third lesson is probably the simplest. To quote Steve, life is not always easy or fun, but it seems easier after a run. I second that motion. At 4:30 in the morning, when I'm about to start out for a run and it's dark and it's below zero, it's not my favorite moment of the day. However, finishing that same run is a great feeling. Not only have I been energized by the run, but the most daunting moment of the day is done, and I can look forward to the rest of the day. Let's use these lessons to promote some streaking ourselves. It doesn't have to be running a mile. What small but positive thing can you do every day? How about having dinner with your family? Writing in a journal? Starting every day with prayer or meditation? Tracking your time and productivity? Smooching your spouse? All these diverse things are beneficial each day and add up to a streak of positive behavior and great memories. Find a way to add one positive routine to your day. You'll feel good about yourself and build other positive behavior around it. And finally, tackle your most unpleasant or difficult task right away and get it over with. You'll have the satisfaction of finishing that task and the relief that the rest of your day will probably be better. In closing, I hope you enjoyed hearing about my friend's adventures on his daily runs and his determination of keeping his running streak alive. I hope all of us can use the simple lessons to find achievements through small daily actions. And I hope that you start your own streak of some sort. Who knows? 50 years from now, I might be doing a speech about you, Mr. Toastmaster.